so good to see you again. I miss you and I cannot wait to get started on our project today. Today we're going to be creating a collagraph. We have never made a collagraph together, so this is going to be something completely new, but we're going to be using a lot of materials that you're already very comfortable with. So a collagraph is a type of printmaking. If you can remember way back to when you were a kindergartner, you have created a print before. We carved into styrofoam, that was that white kind of squishy paper. Then we put ink on top and stamped it. So that is one type of printmaking. Today, we're going to be making a collagraph, and a collagraph is kind of opposite. Instead of carving into something, we're going to build up layers with some found objects. So we are going to be creating a robot collagraph. So this is the first step. You're going to want to make a collagraph using cardboard, but not the thick cardboard that you get in boxes when things are sent to you. I'm thinking the thin cardboard. Think about cereal boxes, pasta boxes. I actually used a graham cracker box. If you don't have a box handy, you could even cut apart a toilet paper tube. Or if you have some thick cardstock around your house, you could use that as well. Get creative. It just needs to be thin. So the first job is going to be to create your robot using that cardboard. So as you can see, mine is kind of a funny looking guy. And what's really important is that the cardboard is on top, so that when you feel your artwork, you feel a texture, because that texture is how a collagraph is made. From there, you're going to take a white piece of paper and you're going to rub a crayon on top. And when you do that, you create a collagraph. A collagraph kind of reminds me of a blueprint. So you can see my robot, once I put crayon on it, shows up on another piece of paper. So this is your job today. We're going to be creating a robot together, but friends, you could make a collagraph on anything. After you get done making a robot, if you want to make a house, if you want to make a monster, if you want to make an animal, it is completely up to you. And don't get rid of this. This is a whole nother artwork waiting to happen, and I'll show you some different ways you can explore this as well. All right, friends, I'm really excited to get started with you today on this project. I miss you. I hope that you are safe and healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, friends.
And the first thing in order to be able to make your collagraph is you have to create a relief. A relief is when something comes up off of the paper. So you can also think about it as it's kind of 3D. So when I rub my robot that I created, I can feel the texture and the edges of all of my shapes. So you have to create a relief in order to make your print. So here's how I did it. The first thing you want to do is gather your supplies. What I use to make mine is thin cardboard. So what I would suggest is go into your kitchen and find a box of food, like a cereal box, a pasta box, and grab that. Some of it is brown on the inside, some of it is white, but as long as it is thin, it will work perfectly. So that's what I would use to start. You're not going to need much. This was the leftover cardboard I had left from making my robot. So with this piece, which is a, ooh, yummy cakes that I gave my son for Easter, I could probably make several robots. Or if I wanted to get even more creative and make something different, I could do several of those with this box. So you're not going to need more than one. So I'm going to use the white just so that you can see it really well, but just know that it won't make a difference what color it is at all. So after you find your box that you're going to be using, you need to have a surface that you're building it upon. That can either be a piece of this. So if I wanted to cut out a section of this and build my robot on it, that would work perfectly. I happen to have this cardstock, which is the size of computer paper. It's just a little thicker. That's what I'm going to use, but you could use the cardboard that you are already using to create your shapes. You would just need to cut it out in the size that you want to build your robot. So I don't want to make a robot this large. I'm going to just bend it in half and down the middle. And I'm going to cut it right on that line. Actually, I'll probably tear it. See if I folded it crisp enough to tear it. Nope, I need to cut it. So I'm just going to cut right on that line, and that way my robot is a pretty manageable size to create. So I'm just going to take one of these and I'm going to work just on here. So using this cardboard, I found the easiest way to start is to make the shape smaller. This is a lot to hold in your hands. So I'm just going to take my scissors, and if at any point I'm going too fast, please pause the video so you can catch up. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off these little extra ends. These are the parts that folded to make the box turn into a box. You can still use these pieces. They just get in my way of cutting. So I'm just kind of getting them out of my way. So I have this really nice flat piece of cardboard that I can then cut my shapes out of. I would recommend starting with the body. It kind of gives you an idea of how much space you have available to you. So you can make any type of robot you want, any shapes, any size, any personality. It is your choice. I'm just going to stick with my box body for my robot, and I'm going to put it somewhere right in the middle, right about there. I want to leave enough space that I have a head, and I'm planning to put some antennas on my robot, so I need to make sure I have enough space for that. I need to make sure I have enough space for my legs, and I have enough space for my arms. So right about here is where I think I'm going to glue it. And I would highly recommend that you glue as you go. So don't cut out all your shapes and leave them around in spaces, because you're only going to get frustrated when they continuously move. So I'm going to glue every piece on as I go. Now, as it comes to glue, there's liquid glue, there is stick glue, or, which I just thought about, you could use double stick tape if you have it at your home. You might just have a little bit more difficulty when you get to these small sizes of trying to get your tape to fit on there. But what I would really recommend is stick glue, because it doesn't move around as much. With liquid glue, it seems kind of runny and your shape might kind of move. So I'm going to stick with washable school glue stick. If you only have liquid glue, no worries, it still works. You might just have to wait until it dries before you make your Collagraph. Otherwise, your shapes might kind of wiggle and squiggle as you're rubbing it. So I'm going to go ahead, and it does not matter if you glue this side or this side. I like to do it on the side that has the label, just because when I start building my robot, sometimes whatever wording or colors are on the robot might get a little bit confusing. So I'm going to put my glue on the back, which would be where the label is, and then that way I see a nice white surface when I are building my robot. However, if you think it looks way cooler to see the labels, by all means, you do you. So I'm just going to kind of keep my glue stick here. I'm going to keep moving on. Make sure that before you glue anything on, you're kind of testing out to see if the shapes work. And then also remember, you can overlap shapes. So I'm going to get both my legs on here to make sure they're about the same size. I want mine to be kind of symmetrical. Perfect. And then I'm going to glue those on. I'm going to flip them over. There's my label, or my, I guess the cover of my box that I chose. And I'm going to glue it on. One thing I've also noticed that looks really cool is if you leave a little bit of space in between your shapes. when you're adding your crayon to it later on, you see all those little breaks in your shapes and it turns out really awesome. So I'm gonna take some time here and really start to build up my shapes. Once again, if I'm moving too fast for you, please pause, go ahead and create your robot and join me back when you're finished. All right, friends, I cannot wait to see your robot creations. Okay, friends, so I have built my robot on my piece of cardstock. For you, it might be a piece of cardboard. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna let it sit for just a few minutes just to make sure that that glue has kind of hardened. It's not moving. If you're someone who used liquid glue, please let it sit for a little bit longer, at least until it feels like your pieces are permanently in place. As I'm kind of touching mine, I feel like my shapes are pretty stuck on there. I'm gonna kind of clean up my area. Please make sure you clean up your scraps, just like Mrs. Girdler's art room. Do not leave a mess on the counter or the table for someone else to clean up. It is your responsibility to clean up your art mess. So please make sure you take care of all those little scraps and recycle them, and then move on to making your collagraph. So now that I have my robot built, all I need now is a piece of computer paper. Computer paper is gonna work best because it's thin. If you use something thicker, it's not going to work out as nicely. And then a crayon. But this crayon must have the wrapper taken off. So I found one of the crayons that I happened to break, and I'm going to just take the wrapper off. Sometimes the wrappers are really stuck on there with the glue. A little trick is to let it soak in water for a few minutes. That loosens up the glue that is around the wrapper and it easily peels off. So if you just cannot get that wrapper off, lay it in a cup of water, leave it alone for about 5 to 10 minutes, come back and it should come right off. So now comes the fun part. So it's just like a texture rubbing. If you can remember when we made texture rubbing artwork in the art classroom, we had our texture, then our paper, then our crayon. It was kind of like a sandwich. So we're doing the exact same process. You're going to lay your Collagraph, which is your texture. You're gonna lay your paper on top, and then laying your crayon on its belly, you're going to rub it across your paper. Make sure your crayon is not rolling. If it's rolling, it is not going to work. You have to hold that crayon really tight and scoot it across your paper. So the reason why I went smaller is because now when I lay my paper on, I can hold it down really tightly at the bottom, and all I'm gonna do is rub it, and you'll feel that texture. Oh my goodness, there's the first part of my Collagraph. You'll notice that the crayon will only show up on the parts that you added, the relief part. So I'm just gonna keep going over my robot until I am happy with the result and I see all the different parts of my robot. And there you go, you've made a Collagraph. If you want to make more than one, feel free to make a little robot family. This is one I made earlier in the week. Same thing, hold it down, rub your crayon. I'm holding it very tightly. Until, whoops, and I moved. Your robot appears. So you can make all kinds of awesome robot prints, and what's awesome is you have copies that you can make over and over and over again. So you can make copies for other people. This would be a really cool idea to maybe make a card for somebody and send it through the mail. If you want to mail me a card of your robot, I would love to see it. Just message me and I'll get my address to you. And then of course you have this awesome robot you built. So don't throw this robot away. You could paint it. You could color it. I find that Sharpie markers look incredible when you draw on top of these robots. So find a creative way to use your relief and your Collagraphs as well. All right, friends, I hope you had fun. I hope that you made some awesome robots, and feel free to send me those pictures on Artsonia. You can follow the QR code at the end of this video. And like I said before, if you would love to mail me a beautiful card with your robot on it, please message me or email me and I would love to see it. All right, artists, have fun. I'll see you later.